would be dead a little more than a year later, aged 33. This picture of bereavement would be the last surviving image of her with her daughter. Mildred would never forgive her mother for abandoning her. But abandonment was not Sarah Leah's only legacy. In her short life, she traveled from Białystok in eastern Poland, where she was born, to Hollywood, where she died. Mildred, too, would be adventurous. She married a man born in New York who reached China by 19, where he traveled into the Gobi Desert and bought furs from Mongolian nomads. Like Sarah Leah's, his precocious start was cut short. He too died at 33. Their daughter, named Susan Lee, in an Americanized echo of Sarah Leah, was 5 when her father died. She only knew him, she later wrote, as a set of photographs. Photographs, Mildred's daughter Susan wrote, state the innocence, the vulnerability of lives heading toward their own destruction. That most people standing before the lens are not thinking about their impending destruction makes pictures more, rather than less, affecting. Sarah Leah and Mildred, acting out a tragedy, did not see that their own was so swiftly approaching. Neither could they have known how much Auction of Souls, meant to commemorate the past, looked to the future. It is spookily appropriate that the last photograph of Susan Sontag's mother and grandmother should be connected to an artistic reenactment of genocide. Troubled all her life by questions of cruelty and war, Sontag would redefine the ways people look at images of suffering and ask what, if anything, they do with the images they see. The problem, for her, was not a philosophical abstraction. As Mildred's life was shattered by the death of Sarah Leah, Susan's, by her own account, was also split in two. The breach occurred in a Santa Monica bookstore, where she first glimpsed photographs of the Holocaust. Nothing I have seen, in photographs or in real life, ever cut me as sharply, deeply, instantaneously, she wrote. She was 12. The shock was so great that for the rest of her life she would ask, in one book after the next, how pain could be portrayed and how it could be endured. Books and the vision of a better world they offered saved her from an unhappy childhood, and whenever she was faced with sadness and depression, her first instinct was to hide in a book, head to the movies or the opera. Art might not have made up for life's disappointments, but it was an indispensable palliative. And toward the end of her life, during another genocide, the word invented to describe the Armenian calamity, Susan Sontag knew exactly what the Bosnians needed. She went to Sarajevo, and she put on a play. Susan Sontag was America's last great literary star, a flashback to a time when writers could be, more than simply respected or well-regarded, famous. But never before had a writer who bemoaned the shortcomings in George Lukács's literary criticism and Nathalie Sarraut's theory of the nouveau roman become as prominent, as quickly, as Sontag did. Her success was literally spectacular, played out in full public view. Tall, olive-skinned, with strongly traced Picasso eyelids and serene lips less curled than Mona Lisa's, Sontag attracted the cameras of the greatest photographers of her age. She was Athena, not Aphrodite, a warrior, a dark prince. With the mind of a European philosopher and the looks of a musketeer, she combined qualities that had been combined in men. What was new was that they were combined in a woman, and for generations of artistic and intellectual women, that combination provided a model more potent than any they knew. Her fame fascinated them in part because it was so unprecedented. At the beginning of her career, she was incongruous, a beautiful young woman who was intimidatingly learned, a writer from the hieratic fastness of the New York intellectual world who engaged with a contemporary low culture the older generation claimed to abhor. She had no real lineage, and though many would fashion themselves in her image, her role would never be convincing.